Yeah, that is that that used to be like a 7 foot high cherry tomato plant, which is now some form of compost because it's still maybe 25 degrees out there. So yeah, basically went from 65 degrees to 25 degrees, which means yeah, we're not seeing any more tomatoes. We ain't seeing any more peppers, and it's a bummer because the pepper plants they were kind of making their second batch, and they were okay with, again, 50s, even 60, even 50s. They were okay with that. Mid 20s, even the pepper plants are like, nope, no, we're tapping out of this. We don't want no more. We don't want nothing to do with this 20 something degrees here. That is it. Sayonara for us. So it's back to normal groceries again. That's for sure. Now, Camda, the one thing about these Warlord game ships here is that the sponsons. Look at, there's some sponsons for you, Camda. They're not quite as clearly defined, say, as maybe the sponsons on the Coco's models ships. So we got two Northamptons. We've got one Portland class. So great to see you guys. Now, Armored Wolf is on his way to MSS, so there won't be any Armored Wolf here. They might be. Nah, I don't think they're actually there yet. Because they had a 10-hour flight from Seattle to overseas, and then they had another 2-hour flight. So it's probably maybe from London to wherever they're going in Italy, I guess. Now the Fletcher class here. And of course, well, Camden, when there's more folks here, why don't you maybe share some stuff in the chat? Let me do this here. And of course, obviously, I don't know if you saw, Camden, the link to the this video right here, where we were testing out the water effect stuff. Well, yeah, that is the latest video on the Patreon page. Let me do the rest of this. Here we got 6 Fletcher class destroyers. We've got 2 Northampton class cruisers, and we've got a Portland class cruiser. Recoiled. One of them, because I was adding the stuff on the back of them. Recoil. Yeah, that made them super thick, and it actually, you know how that dark hair gets really recessed. Well, I found out when I added that stuff on the back, it just seemed to make that recess even deeper. So I'm like, I don't think I can do that anymore. At least not on those. I still want to do that on the Balrog one, right? Because that was super thin, and a couple of the other LOTR ones. And the bitmaps or the height maps failed partially because, well, I think you've seen. I don't know if I sent you the height maps there, Camda, and I'm going to be talking about this in a video because the colors are all pastel and there's not a lot of contrast. Guess what happens when you put them in film noir? There's literally just outlines. That's all it is just a bunch of outlines. And yeah, that didn't really do very much. I think we got one more Fletchy here. So we are working on. It's almost like, wow, this is our first. What would you say, Armada Challenge, Armada Monday, or something like that. It's an Armada Monday challenge here with 9 ships, 3 cruisers, 3 destroyers. And then what I was hoping to do was a tutorial video on one of the Mogami class, and then we'll do the rest of those maybe next Monday. So yeah, that would finish off the entire starter set. Oh, where the heck is that box cover? Well, that's going to be hard to reach. So here it is again, Victory at Sea. And look at that. There's one of your, there's your Indianapolis class cruiser there. Now, we also have, see if I can try and grab these. So there you go. There's, we got the cards here. There's your Portland, so there's your Indianapolis right there. And there's one of your Jap, and we did one of these cruisers too. We did a Mogami. We did this Furutuka. Yep, Furutuka class. Where can I put these? I think over there is where we can put those. All right, where's me brush? Ah, that's great, Camda. You know, after that crazy thing, was that a couple of weeks ago, Camda, right, where it just was not cooperating? I just want to make sure folks are getting the link right, Camda. So Camda, why don't you go ahead and share your link? I think there's some bodies in the chat there. Why don't you go ahead and share that? And of course, we're also thinking about Mum here. Well, we're thinking about Squeak. We're thinking about Recoil. Thinking about our Aussie family there. So best wishes, of course, to Recoil. Let me do that now. This is getting that camo pattern, because I'm going to try to replicate what we did. Now, one of the things that is kind of handy here is that they basically say, okay, this is the era of this ship. So that's, you know, it's 1944. These in 42, well, these are, they're going to have a very different paint scheme on them. So you have a Northampton and a Chicago here. There's your catapults. I'm just using the neutral gray here, the Paul Rubens neutral gray. And I know we did one of these cruisers as well, again, in Coco's models. So Recoil, the key is, because remember before I thought I kind of had things settled, but it was when I started having it do the sky reels prompts, and like that Eye of Sauron thing that I sent you there, Recoil. Oh, that was you know, it had written a prompt for sky reels, and I said, wait a minute. Don't you need to do another image to make this thing work? Because it was like zooming in on something, and it said, oh yeah, here, I'll make that. So it made that second image, and it well, you see the result of it. That wasn't too shabby. Hey there, 1602, how you doing? Great to have you back. I hope that your Monday was fabulous. Hopefully your Tuesday's off to a great start. It's still Monday here, believe it or not, Camda. We got 10 more minutes of a happy Monday for Nurgle Matthew. How you doing there, Nurgle Matthew? So I'm going to say it's still a happy Monday. Yep, it is still a happy Monday here. Now, of course, these being cast resin, things like your tripod masts and stuff, well, that's going to be more filled in than, say, the Coco's models, which are 3D printed. Again, these are not 3D printed, and you'll have to tell me, Camda, when you watch the video and I open up the box for the first time and I see that these things are stuck on these bases. You'll have to tell me how long the pause was. Recoil, I thought we were back to, it's not going to do what it just did perfectly, because all of a sudden it stopped. Anytime I asked for the prompts, all I was doing was just getting images. I'm like, I just want prompts. I don't want images. And it keeps giving you those excuses, kind of the dog ate your homework excuses, right? So great to see you there, Nurgle Matthew. I mean, what's irritating actually recoil. So somebody was complaining about the Lord of the Rings gummy bears being what was it? Sadly AI generated. It's like how else was that supposed to happen? I don't think there's a lot of Lord of the Rings gummy bears running around. I mean, last I checked, they didn't exist anywhere. But yeah, they just figure like, oh, you just walk up to it, you type something, and you get magical results and with no effort, right? Recoil. So again, these are Fletcher class destroyers here. I think you would say the same thing, right, Camda? If it were that easy, we would all have a whole bunch more. Let's just, yeah, we would not be. We would have that private island somewhere, right? Recoil, if it were that easy. Or the evil painting fjord. You're like, why can't it just be a regular painting painting fjord? Nope, it's got to be an evil one, right, Camda? Can't just be a regular fjord. It's got to be an evil one. Let me do this. We got 4 more to add this, and then we'll go one more plus up with our lightest color, and then we'll start doing all the water. I just got to do this first, because as you can see, it's kind of hitting our water there with this dry brushy stuff, so might as well do this first. And of course, happy birthday to the Marine Corps and all of the Marines out there. That happened today. And of course, well, in about 6 minutes, we have Veterans Day. So we want to also extend the thank yous and such to all the vets out there. Oh, depth charges. There we go. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, we got depth charges back there. It is bewildering, right, Recoil? There's an awful lot of tracks out there, Recoil. There is a lot of... Well, I mean, trains need tracks to run on, right, Recoil? Maybe we should take a different tack. Without rails, what are trains going to do, right, Recoil? More just here. Yeah, we're just mostly using the Paul... Well, actually, not mostly. We're pretty much just using Paul Rubens and a few of the Winsor Newton Griffins. Those are the Alkids. We got one more Fletcher. Where you at? There you are. Yeah, there's a vast library of references for those, right, Recoil? Why couldn't we just looked it up in a book? All right, let's see. More of this here. Yeah, and then we'll go with our lightest light, and then it gets down to lots of water. So I'm not really sure exactly what we're doing here now with the Warlord ones. They actually show that as kind of being a blue tone. Maybe we do that, maybe we don't. I don't know. What I do know is we got a whole bunch of paint stuck in here. We're gonna get some of this smooshed out of here. Let's do that. Not gonna use any liquid or whatever. I'm just smushing that paint out of there. Now it is to our fast, well, our white here. So that is the Paul Rubens titanium white. Where are we going to put these? All right, get yourself over there. So we're doing this, then we're doing the water, then we are doing our glazy stuff, because there's going to be mixing, Camda. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, this many ships, there's going to be mixing. Now, what might be nice is, what happens sometimes when we like on our BSG ships, and we do that, the glaze over the top. Sometimes it takes a little while before that is set up and we can work on it. Here, with 9 ships, be a little bit easier than, again, this was our last Armada Monday right here, I believe. That was this one. The actual atomic carrier. At some point, I want to get Lee's, some of his modern ships. So get, nuclear-powered Enterprise and the Long Beach, and have a little task force there of those ships. So again, we're not going to have quite the resolution on these that we have on our 3D printed ships, which is to be expected with cast. Now, the one thing on these, it seemed like there was some pretty hefty mold release. And I'm not surprised because, well, you had these big honking bases here, so that's probably why there was a little extra mold release. That made it a little pesky. It's a good thing I was brushing on the primer. Man, I would hate to see what would happen with airbrushing the primer on there. Alright, there's all our Fletchies. Yeah, Camden, somebody has to do on me. Mixing is life, right? You would think that basing is life, but apparently mixing is life. Oh, and sponsons. Mixing and sponsons are the spice of life, right, Camden? Yeah, let's work it this away. Again, this is one of our Northampton class cruisers here. Not going to get the Dazzle camo. Only Indy is going to get that Dazzle camo, because that's, you're talking 1944. Again, it is a Portland class cruiser, and we have done one of those. And this is how we're going to paint up our Indianapolis, because it'd be really fun to see this side by side with the Warlord version. We're 21 minutes in. 21 minutes in, and we're about to start working on our water. So by the time we're an hour in, we should have the water pretty far along, if not basically almost done. And then again, we'll get into our glazy stuff. So Camden, there's so many images and videos and stuff that have been created. It would take like 5 Instagram messages with 20 images and videos a piece just to try and get you caught up. I noticed something recoil early this morning when I was just trying to prime the rest of these things. So I was going through the Suno songs to try and kind of see, okay, what kind of images do I need to start thinking about making and animations for future videos. And I was looking, so recoil, there was one song that had 2 pages worth of entries, and like maybe one of them was good. And I'm thinking, holy smokes, because I was trying to get to my newer ones, and I was all the way back at page 1, and I'm scrolling through, I'm like, what's going on here? I think this new method that I've been doing, recoil, must be working better, because instead of having 40 versions of one song, now sometimes it's 4 or even down to 2. And it's not just the flats there, Camden. Although I think there's somewhere upwards of 40 now, just with the new ones. That doesn't even include the Lord of the Rings stuff. Now, I'm also going to try and give it another shot, recoil, on the BSG flats. I might abandon the Ptolemaic stuff because, yeah, that didn't seem to work very well. Okay, there is all of that stuff. Now, here, let me get this junk out of here, and let us start putting some watery colors on the bases here. What are we going to use for that? What do we have that could work for you? Maybe that. Maybe that. Where's all my other brushes here? They're all just kind of all over the place. Nah, those aren't going to do much. What about some of these guys down here? Ah, now we're talking. Now we are talking. This is the kind of stuff I need here. Now we're getting somewhere. Alright. This one. Let's try this. We have a whole mess of ships here. Alright. We have our... this is the Paul Rubens Prussian blue. Whoops. That might have been a little more phthalo green than I was looking for, but let's just roll with it as it is. Let's see what happens here. So Camden, if you wanted to share your link there in the chat, please go ahead to your Instas there.
Who enters my domain?
Hey there, Chip. How you doing? Thank you so much for the raid, Chip. Everybody please give Chip Mercury a follow. And of course, Chip, if you want to share some stuff in the chat, please please feel like you can do that, whether it's Discord, work in progress, Insta, whatever. I know you just finished your stream, so you probably don't have a whole bunch of stuff photographed from your stream. Now, we are working on a whole passel of ships here. These are from Warlord Games. Now, what we've been doing for months and months and months is these are 3D printed, and we've obviously been making our own sailing bases there. So this is from Warlord Games. You can see it's USS Indianapolis. We're going to be painting at least this one exactly like you see represented right here. We've got a couple of Northamptons, which would be these guys right here. And we have a whole passel of Fletcher-class destroyers like these right here. And that is from, where's our box top here? That is from this, and it's from Warlord Games. Can't get it there, but there's our Indianapolis. There's one of your Northampton cruisers, and there you go. So, Chip, it's great to see you. Now, last Monday, this is what we were doing. We've done 11 of these ships. It's hard to believe, Recoil, we've done 11 of these bad boys already. More on the way, of course. And, well, our last stream, which was a fabulous college football Saturday, was this right here. It's a little different flavor. But that was a wild demonstration of not just color theory, but even things like luminosity, right, Camda? Because we had luminosity via translucency, like with the phthalos and our fluorescence, and then also luminosity with our opacity, like the cobalt, teal, bluish, and some of our ochres and our terra rosa. That sounds fabulous there, Chip. Again, Chip, you want to share something in the chat? Please feel like you can do that. Now, and we're doing this all with oil paint, by the way. That figure that you just saw, how long were we working on that, Recoil? I think that was a 4.5-hour stream. Yeah, that was about 4.5 hours. And we're talking start to finish. Yeah, that wasn't, okay, session number 5 or something like that. That was the very first session. It started out as just put some primer, and that was it. It was not primer by the end of it. So we were working on a mass amount of ships here. I think the most we've worked on maybe was 3 or 4. Now again, we've got multiple cruisers. We've got ourselves 6 destroyers. And it is a starter box, so you also have the Japanese fleet too. And everybody, please, again, give Chip Mercury a follow. So great to see you there, Chip. Appreciate the raid. Actually, Recoil, I was thinking of using the Eye of Sauron, the 5-second animation I sent you for when folks raid. And then I was going to use the 5-second So Say We All animation, Recoil, when people sub. So that should be fun. So I'm hoping to add that to the stream by Thursday. Oh yeah, and that's right. And again, speaking of Thursday, we'll be painting more of our flats. Here was the last 2 flats. We'll do a couple of more. Now, I don't know if they'll be from our Lord of the Rings series, or maybe we start doing the first of our Arthurian series. And again, made all of these myself. Made the STL files myself. Printed them myself. Did everything 100% in-house here. I've got 4 more of these that just printed up. There are dozens and dozens of designs. And that is not an exaggeration. That might be an underestimation, which is scary. That's a little scary to think I've done that many of them. And I think it's maybe by this Wednesday, Recoil, I think it will be, well, yeah, this Wednesday it'll be 6 weeks. I think since I made my very first flat, or even painted, whatever. Now, that's for sure. That's for sure, Recoil. So, Chip, I don't have a Discord. So, yeah, if you wanted to post like an Insta link or something like that, just do that directly into the chat there, Chip. Sorry about that, Camden. Now, what Camden, let's see. I don't know, will you be back home in a few hours? And again, yeah, that snow pretty much put the sayonara, put the kibosh on the garden there, Camden. That is it. It would be one thing if it was like maybe one overnight snow and then it was back in the 50s or something. But yeah, it's still in the low 20s out there. There we go. Everybody please check out that Instagram link that Chip Mercury just shared, and then also give Chip Mercury a follow. So Chip, I hope that you got all kinds of work done on those. I think we still got 2 more with this, and then we're gonna get kind of our as we call it, our ambient water in there. So yeah, new Discord here. Between the Patreon, the YouTube, the Insta, the Facebook, well, 2 YouTube channels. We're a little bit, we're full up when it comes to available time for social media stuff. Discord, not one of those, unfortunately. Maybe there will be a time. Eventually. Let me get these cruisers out of my way here. It wasn't super unexpected, Camden. It's just based on how things have gone. I mean, let's put it this way, Camden. There's been Thanksgiving days where it was pushing 70 degrees, where it was at least in the mid 60s. And by the way, Thanksgiving, I believe, is the 27th this year, so that's 16 days. So yeah, 2.5 weeks from now. So now again, it's not like we got as much snow, say, as Armored Wolf did. That was a couple of inches or so. It's just hilarious that and Armored Wolf was like, well, that's not going to stick. And we both didn't think that it would because it's been, I mean, it was 70 plus degrees within the last 10 days. Actually, within the last week. It was definitely in the, well, not, it wasn't exactly 80 degrees. It was maybe 71, 72 or something. but it was definitely not in the not even in the 50s or even the 60s. You know what? I'm just gonna fool around with that here for right now. We're gonna do that along our edge there. No, I don't think I'm gonna do that. No, I'm just gonna go with our not blackest black on the edges because we had to keep them like ours. And well, as close as I can, anyways. So we are 34 minutes in, and we just started on these bad boys here. So this did not cover that texture as much as I was hoping. There was no real way to tell until I did the primer. Now, I mentioned in the video, I say that, okay, if we do this and we say, oh, geez, we can still see a ton of that texture, even if there's primer on there, you just put more water effects on there. We've put the water effects on painted stuff, much less primer, right? For our icicles there and our snow effects. I mean, if that is sticking to painted stuff, it'll most certainly stick to primer. There we are. So, Camden, hopefully we can keep you company at work, and the day passes quickly. The day passes quickly. Yeah, let's just keep rolling with this. I ended up just putting some more thinner in there just to make this go quicker. And again, we are working with oil paints. These are just regular oil paints right out of the tube. No miniature stuff, no MIG ammo, no what the heck are the MIG ammo oil brushes, but what are the AK Interactive? What the heck is their stuff? Oh, the Uptiline. Oof, nasty stuff, right? Right, recoil, nasty stuff. All right, we got that. Now let us start to think about doing some lighter things here. And I do believe the next video is going to be, that I filmed for the Patreon page, is going to be sculpting the Fellowship. So yes, we will be making the 9 Fellowship in Eldritch Foundry, much like we made our latest Kathy figure here. Since, well, it does hobbits. I mean, clearly hobbits can be made. So we'll see if we can make ourselves some we need what, the four hobbits is there. We know we can make a Gandalf because, well, I mean, it ain't not going to be all that different from our Wapelius Spellbrush. I'll tell you that right now. Spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert. Not going to be all that much different. It's going to be shockingly similar. Now, the Aragorn and Boromir, that's where things get interesting. The Legolas, I think that'll be fairly standard as well, but the 2 wild cards, to me, really are the Boromir and Aragorn. Like with, okay, I'm going to try to make something like this. Now, I don't believe we can have a shield on his back. I mean, I could be wrong. Where's our Aragorn here? Where are you? Here we go. And I was thinking something like this for Aragorn. We'll see if we can do something like that. So again, what I'm going to try to do is have those references. I won't be able to have them on screen because of the way things work, but we'll have them as scenes, and we'll kind of go back and forth, maybe. I mean, people they're familiar with those images. I think people will be able to make the connections. I don't think we have to struggle too much. Like, Aragorn at Weathertop. Okay, we've seen it once or twice or 1,000 times. We know what it looks like. And again, so yep, it is now Veterans Day here. It is November 11th, so wishing all of our ex and current service members a great Veterans Day. I'm gonna grab me a little bit of that, little bit of that. Whoops, wrong way. So yeah, we're just gonna hit up the this. We're gonna get some of this now. We're gonna grab a different brush to do along our port and starboard sides. In a sec here, I'll show you our painted Indianapolis so you can see what the water is going to look like. One sec here. Or yeah, there you are. So that is what our water is going to look like once. You can see we're starting to get there. We're building things up. So see you later there, Chip. And again, everybody please give Chip Mercury a follow. And everybody, actually, Chip, why don't you post that one more time before you head out the door so people can, again, go click on that Insta link there. So again, everybody please give Chip Mercury a follow. So happy birthday to Squeak. I'm wondering. Well, so what kind of I guess what is Squeak's favorite? I'm sure Squeak's favorite thing is pretty much anything that comes out of the air fryer, right? Recoil. But is there any particular Squeak favorite there that you might be making? So everybody check out that Instagram link that Chip Mercury just shared, and everybody again, please give Chip Mercury a follow. So thanks for the raid, Chip. Appreciate that. And have yourself a fantabulous Tuesday. So cheers. Thank you very much. This must be one of our... Yeah. So I was going to say, this has to be our other Northampton cruiser here. And you can see how this is mixing along the way. Right? Because, again, oil paints... That's the whole point of these things. So see you later, Chip. Have a good one. Let me do this. Here, I'll get that all the way down. There we are. So recoil, like say the Umbar pictures and such. If I had, even the Denethor stuff, recoil. That Denethor video I would have had way nicer animations, way easier, would have spent way less time if I had taken this approach to it. So essentially, Recoil, what it does is it takes the song, which it worked on. I mean, it didn't just do all the lyrics and the orchestration. It also did the prompts that I then went into Suno with. So it knows everything. It knows the whole story because I described it there. Oh, well, that sounds fantastic, Recoil. So it knows, it basically says, okay, how many scenes do you want? 8, 10, 12, 15? And it basically goes through like an opening one. It knows I like to do an opening animation and a closing animation. So it it focuses on certain images that would look good for sort of a fade to black, say, on the closing end, and something dramatic for the intro. Yeah, if I had just known that from the beginning, right, Recoil, we would have had probably at least 2 of the Army Showcase vids done. But I'm working on, well, I'm kind of starting out with individuals. So we're doing Galadriel, Sauron, Gandalf. Actually, it's going to be probably Gandalf and Sauron, because Sauron, I don't really need any terrain to do that one. And Gandalf, I have the Shire, and I'll pretty much just do like him in the Shire because that's what most of the figures are. I could maybe even do a possible Moria thing or whatever. All right, now we've got the light stuff there. Let me get rid of this. We're going to grab a different brush now. I'm going to different brush.
Who enters my domain?
And then we're going to welcome in Skits Mix. Hey there, Skits. Welcome back. Appreciate you being here, Skits. Thank you so much for the raid. Everybody, please give Skits Mix a follow. So, Skits, I hope that the stream was a blast. I'm sure that it was. And of course, like always, if you, I know you just finished the stream, so unless you go head off to that photo booth, it'll be tough to send some, show off some pictures of that. But if you've got any work in progress stuff that you would like to share, please feel like you can do that. Now we are working on our very first Victory at Sea ships. Now we have been painting a whole ton on our Armada Mondays here. Where's our Indianapolis? Here it is. We have done tons of these, like 40 or so of these. Again, these are 3D printed. Now we are working on the actual Victory at Sea from Warlord Games counterparts. They're both 1/1800 scale. You can see the difference between the printed ones and between the cast ones. Well, obviously, I had to make my bases there. These are the bases that come along with the figures. I have Skits. If you want to share that, please go ahead. Nice to see you there, Spotty. And great to see you there, Weirdling. I hope that you are doing well. Everybody check out that Discord link that Skits just shared. Now, last week on the stream for Armada Monday, we did our 11th, yes, our 11th Battlestar Galactica ship. So recoil, I've got so many of these ships. It's a good thing I have several good Battlestar Galactica songs because we're going to have multiple videos on them. Now, this was our last stream. This was Saturday here. A little bit different theme. Yeah, that's a little bit different than our 1/1800 scale ships. This is from Loot Studios, also 3D printed. So this was super fun. Obviously, our object source slating. We got to play around with some of our heavy-duty colors like cobalt, teal bluish, cobalt blue. So we had some heavy hitters out there. So thank you so much, Skits. Appreciate that. So yeah, we have done tons and tons and tons of these ships. We've done U.S. ships, Japanese. Where's our, is this, okay, so there is, that's our Dunkirk class. We've even done French ships, Italian ships. We've done some of our first British ships. So there's the Roma right there. Now, is this, here we go. So this is the H-class series of ships. That was, I think this was the last Armada Monday of the World War II ship variety. So see you later, Skits. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody please give Skits Mix a follow if you could. That'd be sensational. So Skits, again, thank you for the raid, and have yourself a fabulous Tuesday. Now we are working with oil paints here. We started on these 47 minutes ago. 3 cruisers, 6 destroyers. 1 Portland class cruiser, that's your Indianapolis. 2 Northampton class. 1 is Chicago, the other one is, well, Northampton. And then 6 Fletcher class destroyers. This starter box also comes with basically 2 Japanese heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser. Now Mogami and Furutuka, and then you have, I think it's 3 Fubuki class destroyers. And we have painted all of those in 1/1800 scale already. So now the water is, it's starting to, we're starting to make some hay here on our water. So again, everybody please give Skits Mix a follow, unless you already are doing that. Because Skits has rated before. So Spotty, I hope that everything's going great. And of course, the other exciting thing is, well, you thought we had a lot of flats from, say, our Trench Crusade theme and our Lord of the Rings theme and all that good stuff. Yeah. Well, we've added like 40 more designs. Here's just a couple of them. So we've got Arthurian designs here. Again, these are all homemade flats. Did the designs, did the STL files, and then did the printing. And then we have a whole Oriental series. So I just added 4 more to this set right here. As far as the prints go, there's, again, about almost 20, there's almost 20 Arthurians, and I think there's at least, now there's like 22 of the Oriental theme. Those will first be available to the patrons, and well, it's basically just, there will be free files to the patrons. You don't have to buy the files. I don't really think I'm going to be doing any kind of My Mini Factory stuff or whatever. I think we're just going to, again, have them as part of the Patreon page because we use them for our tutorial videos. And I actually have now a video series on just how to make those on top of everything else, because we don't have enough different series, right? Recoil, we need more. All right. I think this is 5 more of our Fletcher class. Yeah, 5 more Fletchers doing this. Then we'll do our non-interrupted water. Then we'll go back to this, start adding maybe some more of our Prussian blue and phthalo green again. Back in there. It is a little bit different with the way these bases are textured as opposed to how I've been doing things. Yeah, let's keep going with this. I'm going to get a little bit more of our white into that. We'll get some thinner in it too. Thin sticks to thick and vice versa. Since these are all pretty much alkyds we're working with here, it's very possible by this time tomorrow all the ships are dry, or at least something we could handle. Not something maybe that should, I don't bother with the varnish stuff because the oils are just so, they are so rugged. Don't really need to bother with that. Now, if to say something is got a little bit of a shine to it, because some colors are just naturally shiny. Your phthalo colors can sometimes have a little bit of a satin look to them. Colors like quinacridone magenta, a lot of your reds, for whatever reason, sometimes can have a little bit of a sheen to them. That's when I take the Army Painter Anti-Shine and we just kind of wipe that out. Does a real good job of that too. Alright, so we still got 2 more of our Fletchers to go here. And then we move on again to our sort of kind of ambient waters, we call it here. Fine, a little bit more of the white, let it get a little bit more of our not radiant green. There we go. Starboard side, 1 more to do this. Bingo. And again with this. Like so. Get that all the way up by the hole there. Just about ready to get to our next phase on the water. Then we're going to take some darker stuff and we're going to do a whole bunch of basically pin line washes. It could be a good 20 to, maybe it could be like a half hour of pin line washes or something. Just because of the sheer volume of ships. There's a ton of them here. Alright, we will take that. We will take this. Whoops. Maybe not as big a clump of that, but here we are. So again, this is our water that does not have any interrupted waves in it. And we're just going to have it going this way. Then we will grab another. See, that's it's kind of mixing on its own. That's what the oils do really, 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 really well. Why would it sit there and want to fool around with a whole bunch of layers when I could just drop a color on there and then let it do all the rest of the work? So again, that picks up some of that darker color that's just already there. It mixes, it moves it around. Again, a whole lot easier. And we're just running from one ship to the next ship. We're just it's rapid fire here. No fooling around, no slowing down. And well, we're just about 1 hour in, and all of a sudden now our 9 ships. Just count them, 9 ships. And it's almost like one of our Saturday challenges on a Monday. I'm fairly certain we have never done anything like this on a Monday. Heck, we've painted 4 spacescapes in one stream 7 times. This we have not even done once. So yeah, Camda, again, when you watch that video, just if you don't mind, keep an extra little eyeball out there for what my reaction was when I open up the box and see that these are actually stuck to these bases. Because for some reason, Camda, I'm thinking there was like this dramatic pause where I open up the box and just kind of go like that for a few seconds, where I'm just kind of like trying to process well, that really changed what I was about to do in this video. Because I had it written down, Camda. I actually had it written down, okay, chapter 2 of this will be this or whatever. It's like, whoop, chapter 2 just met a horrible end. That was it. It ended before it ever started. I'm just going to use you to, see that? Wipe away that extra stuff there. Now I have to say I didn't exactly get the coverage that I was hoping on that existing texture. Is what it is. And yeah, Camda, in the video, spoiler alert, I do mention my theory is that they needed this really big chunk of resin or this big heavy base to make it easier to print these ships, because the only thing like there was the bridge, and there was the turrets, and then there was the your launchers there, your catapults. That's all there was in terms of extra pieces and parts. And the Fletcher class, I think it was one smokestack and the bridge, and that was it. Whereas I'm pretty sure the Fletcher class, from Coco's models, you gotta do every single individual turret, probably, and the bridge too. Let me get this. So again, we are just about 1 hour in. Oh, there's definitely sponsons. Yeah, there's a couple of them right here. I can see some sponsons. We're not quite to the mixing phase, but we'll be there in a bit now. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep using this, but more thinner. Come on, gotta break that down even more because, well, thin sticks to thicker and vice versa. And look at where we're holding this brush. Nowhere near that metal ferrule. There we are. Yeah, 9 ships, no sponsons would be very shocking, wouldn't it, Camda? Almost as shocking as the horrendous coaching that took place in the waning moments of that game tonight. Holy smokies. It was almost like both coaches said, oh, you know what, I really would like to lose this game. So here. And then the other coach said, you know what, I can one up that. Here, why don't I do this and then you can win the game? And then the other coach said, no, 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 I want you to win the game. I'm going to do something stupid in return. So they basically just kept, it was dueling stupid, essentially, for lack of a better term. And that was all in about the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah, Dace, well, you know, Ham is very good. Ham is very good, but of course, what you don't want to be is hasty. Do not be hasty. So, Camda, I'm hoping I can get those couple of animations in, especially especially the. Well, I wish I had it now because we had the 2 raids already. But we'll try to have that rocking and rolling for the Thursday stream. Yeah, fine. We'll do that a little more here. Now this is the only one where I can really see my water texture very clearly. Again, if I had more time, could have done some more water on there, more water effect to really cover up the existing texture. But man, it was it looked like gravel. It looked like they just put gravel on these things and said, yeah, that gravel looks just like waves. That's I was like, I'm not super sold on the gravel look there for waves. Now we get rid of this, and now I might even shift to. I wonder if this will suffice. I don't know. Well, we're going to use it at least just to break all this stuff down. And then again, we're going to get back to the glaze stuff. Now, the order of business here is kind of, it's a little bit different because I have so many ships. I know that the stuff is going to set. So I can, again, kind of be a little bit more greedy. Or should I say hasty? Who knows? So hopefully you get to do, speaking of streaming, hopefully you get a chance to start doing some streaming again there, Camda. And of course, you know, since our stuff never listens to what we're saying, Camda, I got this recommendation from Amazon on a Windows 11 Surface Pro. Gee, that we haven't been talking about that at all in the last 2 weeks of streaming, have we? Not a single bit. We shall see, what happens with Black Friday in that device. And again, that is why the heck is underneath that. That's why we're just going to maybe take a pass on the printer, as much as I would really love to have the other printer. We need the computers to be able to do all this stuff that we're doing. We already have several printers. Even if it's not as efficient as it needs to be, so be it. No computers means no streaming, no videos, no nothing. Because yes, your phone, your computer, whatever, it's totally not listening to anything that you say. Alright, what do we got there? Okay, that is good for that. Now we're going to use a different brush here to... I wonder if this is going to be good enough. I think it will be. It's like the eye of Sauron, right, Camda? it's like looking into the Palantir. Come on, there we are. So again, having to kind of fight against the texture that already exists here on some of these bases versus what I'm normally doing. Just stuck my finger into something right there. Wrong way. Let's go this way. And of course, Camda, I think I might have even mentioned it in that video. There are mooring cleats. Yes, indeed, there are some mooring cleats. It's interesting. Some ships have them, and others do not. I mean, mooring cleats are right up there in the top 5, right along with sponsons and mixing. Just wouldn't be an Armada Monday without mooring cleats. I think one, I don't know if it was the Mogami class had mooring cleats, and then was it the? It looks like your Northampton class and Portland class. Nope, the Portland class doesn't. Only the Northampton for whatever reason. Not sure why. Okay. Got some of our lightest water here, and then it's gonna be time to start doing our darker glazy stuff. So as I mentioned in the video there, I figured I would do the American ships on stream because there's more of them. Also Veterans Day, and then I would do a probably again one of the heavy cruisers, the Mogami class. I would do a tutorial video on that, part of our painting small scale series. Blending brush on that, and then just do the other 2 cruisers and the 3 destroyers. We'll just do another next week. We'll do another Monday challenge. Because at least this way, now I'm all set for next Monday already. Come on, there we are. Getting some of that like right up against the hole here. There will probably be, I think, to a point in the stream where I take the not blackest black, and I'm just going to put that along here, and then we'll try to do a little dry brushy something over the nail. I don't know if I'll be doing that on stream. Might just do that in some primer or something. Heck, I might even be inclined to take one of our markers or a pencil or something and just kind of scratch that over the top and see if it'll do that lettering via some dry brushy, whatever. Yeah, let's do that. Might have to, yeah, I'm going to need to mix up some more of this because it looks like we still got 2 cruisers and a destroyer yet to do. Yep, fleet, I've got, oh geez, I think 17 different bolt action armies in various stages. I mean, I don't have a whole bunch of pictures of them. There's a bunch of them on the Instagrams. But let me see if I can. Nope, that's not them. There they are. Here we are. Just a little quick little slight review. I've got two different Soviets armies. Obviously, late war winter Americans there. This was my last tournament army. That's Monte Cassino themed Fallschirmjägers, 1944. And I have a gigantic early war German army. And I've got DAK also British 8th for the desert. And there's some more winter Germans there. And then I have a very large early war British. That was one of my. Actually, I've got 4 bolt action battle reports on the YouTube channel. This is from one of them. This was an alternate history thing of the Battle of Arras, where the French actually show up. Way back in the corner over there, that's Rommel with an 88. And now this is another. This was my last battle report here. So this was called the Bridge to Nouvion, and you can see we got some German rubber boats there. We've got wrecked vehicles, all kinds of fun stuff there. And there's I have a gigantic early war French army. I have 2 other French, actually no, 4 other French armies, and there is the Monte Cassino themed uh, Fallschirmjägers right there. There's your display board. So that was very fun. Where's my scene? There we go. So that is a tiny sampling. Now again, if you check out the YouTube channel, I've got 4 bolt action battle reports there. Obviously, that is not going to be the 3rd edition, whatever, because, well, that was years ago. So Flea, if you wanted to share any of your bolt action stuff, you've got an Insta link or something like that you wanted to maybe share in the chat, please feel like you can do that. Let's see, other armies that I was working on: Hungarian, Italian, Japanese. I've got a Finnish army, basically kind of early wars, summer. So Operation Barbarossa Soviets. So yeah, we've got a lot of bold action stuff. Kind of an Operation Husky U.S. Army. Well, some Marines. I believe I got some Buffalo Soldiers too. Oh, I've got a Norwegian. Yes, a Norwegian army. All in full anorak. Actually, I've also got French. No, I've got the French Mountain Legion in anorak, and then the Norwegians. So that was part of my Narvik campaign army. And we actually have, I know I've done at least 1 army painting series on bolt action. And here's another one of our, where are you hiding? There you are. Again, this is also, again, part of our winter Soviets there. Obviously, late war. And then, of course, we have, look at, there's some of our mighty Italian vehicles for our desert campaign there. There you go. Look at that. That is fearsome. Absolutely fearsome there. Is there one more? Yeah, one more Fletcher to do this on, and then we are going to start maybe doing our lighter glaze, or sorry, darker glaze stuff there. Yeah, this is the first time ever doing this many ships at once, and of course, it's really different doing this than the bases that I've been doing all along. So trying to adapt to working on an entirely different type of base. That is not the easiest thing. Not at all like what we've been doing all along. And again, the 1/1800 scale ships that I've been painting for, well, now over a year, those will work in Warlord's Victory at Sea game system because they are 1/1800 scale. Where's my Indianapolis here? You can see they are, there you go, they're pretty much the same size. There's going to be differences, but yeah, that's the 3D printed one, and there's the Warlord Games one. Maybe I'll just grab you and let's well, we are getting ready to do some mixing here, Camda. Yeah, nothing earth-shattering here. We got indigo. We've got our coal black in there. Gee whiz, we're almost out of our thinner there. And now this is the part that Camda's been literally waiting since last week to see mixing. That's again, this is the most riveting part of the stream. I mean, this is so people are so wanting to see this. It's like Twitch is just getting overloaded with all of the people rushing to see this happen. Yes, where we're just taking the thinner and we are mixing the oil paint with our thinner. That's all we're doing. That's literally it. We're just mixing some paint here. I think we've got that ready to rock and to roll now. I need, here it is. I need this to get a little angle on that. Now, where's the brush I just had in my hand? Maybe I'll just use this guy. So again, Camda, if you wanted to share stuff in the chat, please go ahead. Not sure if you had a chance to do that already. Now, we're not going bonkers with this. We just need it in a few areas here. Certainly around the gun barrels and our turrets there. There we are, working around our stuff on our masts here. More sponsons here. And then I'm going to come back with some of our phthalo blue in here because we got all that rough stuff going on in the water. And we'll do that while all of this stuff here has a chance to set on our ships. Of course. Get that off of there. Bring that over here. More around these sponsons here. Some gun shields. So everybody check out that link that Camda shared. So Camda, I think one of the pictures I saw looked like some pre-glaze there. And of course, I saw the picture of the the flats. I saw that picture too. Boom, here we are. More sponsons up there on the top of those tiny little stacks. Same deal around the uh, anti-submarine depth charges launchers there. More of it up here. Again, just the way these are done, they're gonna be different than working with our Cocos model ships. Just again, one is cast in resin, the other one is 3D printed, so there will be differences. Look at that. That is a true pin line wash right there. It just went whoop right down to the bottom of that mast. Right down to the bottom of that tribe mast. These are almost, they're not quite pagoda style. Yeah, nobody really had, I guess there was one Soviet ship that kind of had the crazy, almost pagoda-like mast superstructure. Yeah, working that in back here. Around this turret, we got the stuff on the fantail here. We will go back and a bunch of these will get basically wood for the deck. So we get Armored Wolf off to Monte San Savino, so no Armored Wolf in the chat. Most likely, I would think for all the streams this week, because, well, he went from 3 hours behind me to something like 6 or 7 ahead of me. That's like a 10-hour day. That is gonna, they are gonna be really messed up. I mean, that is, I don't know if it's exactly on the opposite side of the world, but when you consider how far north they are, I know that Italy is not exactly, I believe that Rome is the same latitude as Chicago, which sounds crazy, especially given the fact, you know, the 2 inches of snow we had, which I'm sure he's not going to find in Rome. Let's do this here. Nope, gotta get some more of our, bam, there we are. Trying to use a little bit less of it here. Mostly because with the fact that this is cast instead of printed, we don't have quite these same sharp edges to work with and rely on. That go down there again on the superstructure. I think we got everything there now. And well, we're 1 hour 23 minutes in. So when we get to around the 2-hour mark, gonna do a little medicine refresh. Gonna do a little bit of a print check there. I've got I've been printing out these big rocks for that Army of the Dead terrain. Wow, look at that. That's a true pinline wash. That's all the way. That's going all the way to the stern here. That was just one shot there. That is what, again, the oils have true capillary action. Acrylics, not so much. It's just it's the nature of hydrodynamics. So look at that. It's just one shot there. It gets all that stuff. So we got, what, 3 more? Yep, 3 more to do our pin line wash type stuff here. On our Fletcher class destroyers. And as we allow this to set, what will we work on? We're going to get out here. You can see it here. Right, we need to get more of our blues out here. We're going to smooth some of that stuff out. That's not smooth sailing there. It's a little too choppy, a little too rough there. Bam, there we go again with our pin line wash stuff. And we're just, you can see we're just touching the brush to it. That's all we're doing. Look at this. One touch. That's it. We're not brushing this along the side of the ship or anything of the sort. We just touch it. And that's it. We're just touching that. One more. And then we start working on our water again. Wow, this has a chance to set. That was... There we go. Just get rid of that. Easier doing it that way. Is this... Okay, it's the last of the Fletchers here. Like you do. And now we will take our mixing stuff, put that off to the side. Get this out of the brush, and it's going to be sort of semi, not necessarily glazy here, but let me just start getting some of this activated here. Actually, this is almost looking a little bit like some of the color that we had last night, or Saturday night with our Fabulous Loot Studios figure. And the idea, the concept here is we do this. We grab ourselves another brush and we are going to let all of this stuff now combine here. See that? So we start to lose some of that choppy texture in the water as well. No, let me hit this. There we go. Might even go a little more thinner. Something like that. Well, we'll probably have to mix this up a couple of times here. That shouldn't be up there. Here, let me take this and we'll just scrape that away. Oh, here, I'll take a little look-see at that recoil in a second. Let me just do this one ship here. I think I'm gonna use, yeah, that's the one I'm using for the sort of blending process here. There we go, and again, we're just gonna try to get that right up against that hull. Whoops, that has got too much paint on it for whatever reason. Now, let me try and scare this up here on the phone. Whoops, that wasn't what I wanted. So, this is all part of the APCC. There's your swamped and crowd. This is a really neat. So I don't know. Was it this that was more difficult, or was it this? Because that's the hidden thing sometimes. Those borders around it. And again, if you're wondering what we're talking about there, on the Wampelville Sports Network, you can see the Atlantic Pacific Central Conference. 10,000 teams, no academic standards. Everybody makes the playoffs. The portal is always open, and you can see these Swampton Crocs are sitting there at the top of the APCC standings. So thanks for doing that, Recoil. And I'm curious if it was the border was the persnickety part, or just getting the croc to be right. Because again, we certainly need flats of all of our teams. Man, that's going to be a bunch of them, right, Recoil? Nice to see you there, Arta Michael. If you want to share anything in the chat, please go ahead. So sorry again that Adepticon's really not going to be part of the options for next year, but hopefully everything else kind of gets itself situated. Well, at least a little more situated than it is right now. So great to see you. And of course, Art and Michael, you want to post your stuffs in the chat there, please go ahead. All right, come on, more thinner in there. So 92 minutes ago, all 9 of these ships, count up 9 ships, had no paint on them at all. That's all just happened in the last 1 hour 33 minutes now. So again, thanks Recoil. That was that is going to be super fun. So I guess tomorrow I'll go out in the yard and see just how wilted all the plants. I mean, that snow should still be sitting on those plants because it's well, it's in the low 20s out there, or mid 20s, whatever. So that snow is not going to melt. All right, we'll set that aside. Let's grab our Indianapolis here. Start doing a little something on the turrets here. We got some anchor chains, some capstans there. Not too much again on the superstructure here, because the camo does continue up. Let me just do a little double check there. Yes, you can see that camo does extend up in there. That's what we're going to do, is that camo pattern. Since this is the 1944 iteration of Indianapolis. Again, this is one of your Portland class cruisers here. and here we are. This. These gun shields there. Another anti-aircraft mount. There we got some more of them up here. Just hit the top of that turret there. Nope. Let me refresh this here real quick. Gun barrels. More anti-aircraft mounts back there. Swing it on over to the starboard side, and we do that again. Fine, we'll make that later, whatever. Didn't really want to do that. I want to wait to see what happens with our dazzle camo there. But if we have to change that, we can do that, no problem. Again, a couple of anti-aircraft mounts up there. That is that. Now let's start working our way back and start doing some deck colorations here. So we will respect the Umbar. We also have some of our Mars yellow deep getting mixed up in that. Let me see how this looks here. That's about it, and maybe a little more of the Mars yellow deep. Also maybe a little bit thicker, not quite so thin. See how that's going to work. I think we now have it. Let me work in a little more of our line up there. We'll do this on both their Northamptons. Sneak that back in here. They're on that boat deck. Now remember, these are not 3D printed like our 1/1800 scale ships from Coco's models. These are cast, essentially cast resin for the majority of the ship, and then some of your superstructure parts, turrets and whatever, those are essentially that Scio cast kind of material. I think that, oh no, there's a little bit up here. Now that takes care of the deck texture on first Northampton. Let's do the second one here. So again, we are chugging along here on 9 ships. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 9 of them. 6 Fletcher-class destroyers.
Spark my ganja.
2 Northampton cruisers, 1 Portland-class. Thank you so much, Shiny. Appreciate that. It's like, so the surfboards are back. Dude, not a surfboard. So, yeah, that's right. That's the thing you call an aircraft carrier. At least it's not seeing that other Gandalf. Man, that guy didn't know what he was doing. I blame the pipeweed. What is going to happen on our big Gandalf 6 here for Shiny? Is it going to be a Shiny 6? Well, it's half a Shiny 6. Thank you so much, Shiny. Appreciate that follow. And of course, happy Tuesday. We're almost 3 hours into Tuesday now. It is 2:57 here now. So great to see you there, Shiny. And again, what we're doing is we're trying the best we can with these Warlord ships to match what we've been doing with our 3D printed ships. Now, of course, well, 2 Armada Mondays from now, we've got more BSG ships printed out. I've got, what, jeez, already 11 of them painted. Still scary to think, Camda, that I've already done 11 of those. And there's been no 2 in a stream. That's just individual streams. I'm fairly certain. Yeah, I didn't have those at Adepticon, right? I don't think so. Maybe I might have had Galactica at Adepticon. I don't know. Did we have them that long ago? I don't think we were. Was I painting those back in March, Camda? I don't remember that. No, it couldn't have been because we didn't even have that many of our 1/1800 scale ships. Yeah, okay, that's yeah. I was because I think I had at Gen Con I had Battlestar Galactica there, and that was, and I think I had maybe 2 ships painted. Yes, at Gen Con. That makes a little more sense, right, Camda? Yeah, we're going to try to work in some of our weathering rusty type colors there too. So thanks for joining us here, Erid. Appreciate that. Hopefully everything holding steady, as the phrase goes. So I'm going to put this deck color under, then we're going to go back into our... We're going into the dark to try and get some separation on some of the turrets and the barrels, I think. Just, again, because these being cast, some of those details a little bit softer and smushier, so we're going to have to try and essentially draw some of those in. Arid, the way things are and the way things have been, right? It's pretty much an hour by hour. You don't even worry about, okay, what's going to happen tomorrow. You're like, geez, what about 4 hours from now? We worry about more immediate things now, right? We're not worried about distant future or anything like that. As far as I'm concerned, the distant future is this weekend. That might as well be 10 years from now. Ask me what's going on this weekend on Saturday. As in Saturday afternoon. Don't even ask me Saturday morning. Because something's going to change, right, Erid? And I mean, it's not like it's, well, only Easter egg type things. Because again, a lot of the things we've been learning with all of the like making our flats, making these animations and stuff, and the songs, that's all just happened in the last few months. And I believe this Wednesday, it will be like, I think 6 weeks since I first made the very first flat. And again, I did not think I could do anything like that. Not myself, anyway. I think now our ships they're starting to stand out a little bit more from our from the bases here. And the big part of the focus for the first couple of hours was a lot on the bases. Now we're going to really lock in on the ships. The last thing we would do on the bases would be to take our, I almost said iridescent pearl white, no, our fast matte white, and get in here and do, let me get that umber in there to balance that out. A little more thinner smushing, but I think we got that consistency. Yeah, now we got it. So yeah, shiny. When I heard that the Warlord games, Victory at Sea, because people have been asking me, well, what game do you play all these 1/1800 scale ships in? When I was informed that the Victory at Sea was 1/1800 scale, I said, okay, well that's great, because again, we have tons and tons of these. We have dozens of ships across several different navies. We've done Italians, we've done here's Dunkirk, and here's Graf Spee. So we've done many different navies, dozens and dozens of ships. Where's our big old? We've even done some unicorn ships like Montana class and the H class here. Again, ships that were never made. I wonder what is this right away. This is there's HMS Hood right there. There it is. Somewhere we've got Repulse. Is this? Oh, there it is. Yep. There's Repulse. And again, well, we're not doing the 1/1800 scale ships. We're doing the 1/1000th scale Battlestar Galactica ships. We've done 11 of these now. Boy, it's always wild, Camden, to see, the difference once all of the. Now that's still completely wet because I'm able to mix this deck color with that darker glaze stuff that we put there hours ago, as in 2 hours ago. Thanks, Shiny. Appreciate that. And again, if you want to see any of those painted, the Battlestar Galactica ships, this is where they all go. So the Linseed Fellowship YouTube channel, since we can't, unfortunately, we can't store our highlights on Twitch anymore. They took all that away. Just go to the Linseed Fellowship YouTube channel, subscribe there. The one handy thing about that is, okay, you want to find the 1/1800 scale ships. When they were on Twitch, you had to sit there and just really look through a bunch of thumbnails to find them. Now with the YouTube channel, there's a specific playlist for just BSG ships, for just our World War II ships, all of our Lord of the Rings stuff. There's even playlists, so let's say, I want to see object source lighting. Well, we painted this up on Saturday. So this will go in two categories. It's going to go in the Loot Studios category, and it will also go in the large scale, and also object source lighting. So that's 3 different playlists that you will be able to search to find that. And again, that is the Linseed Fellowship YouTube channel. So go there, go subscribe to that. I think the latest video that went up there was, it was this one, and then it was Army of the Dead. So there was this one. Now our Army of the Dead is up there. Actually, there's our flat that we painted of our Army of the Dead. Again, all that on the stream here. So doing the deck portion here of 2 more Fletcher class destroyers. And then we're going to get on to the Indianapolis, doing the Dazzle Cam. Then maybe some of our weathering type stuff, and then our darkest darks. So this Thursday we will be doing another session with our flats. Probably one of our Arthurians, or maybe 2. One or two of our Arthurians will paint up on Thursday. Alright, let's do that.